Good evening, one. Good evening, all. Welcome to another part of Blind Let's Play here of Gran Turismo 4, live and exclusive to YouTube. I am your host, Swishbone, for the remainder of the evening. And for those of you who've never been on this channel before, we mostly play games blind live for the first time. This is not blind. It's me going back to my university years when I played the hell out of this game, and I'm currently doing a run where it is prize cars only. So essentially, we're being awarded cars and trying to win as many races as possible. We are currently knee-deep in the 1,000 miles challenge, and we are driving an E-Type Jag, 1970s and earlier. For those of you who have been here before, whether you were previously watching me tackle the 25 laps of the Nürburgring Nordschlieffe on the last stream, perhaps you've been here to watch me lose my sanity beating 4 Crash Bandicoot games and both of the Sonic Adventure duology. Maybe you've been here for all the weird streams like the Murderous Sonic the Hedgehog and Doki Doki Literature Club, or the classic streams like Final Fantasy VII and Forza 4. Either way, a colossal welcome back to all of you. Without you people, the channel, it would be active, but nowhere near as interactive or as reactive. So one more time, chat box is in that direction. Get your messages in there, and I'll do what I can to interact with all of you. So I mentioned we were in the 1,000 miles. We're going to continue to race 2. We've done 25 laps of the Nürburgring, and now we have to face the almighty challenge that is 95 laps of Opera Paris. God help me. Good evening, Jody. See you in the chat there saying good evening to you. How are you doing? Yes, Dave. Well, this is a shorter circuit with less of a focus on straight line speed, so I'm going to kick it back to maybe 13 on the gear ratios. I think that should be more than sufficient. And yeah, we've got the hard tires equipped. No, I'm not changing that. That's fine. Okay. Right, but we are actually going to qualify. Now, you might wonder why, because there's that many laps. Quite frankly, I don't like being held at the back. I've also not driven this circuit in this car, and I've just realised something. Oh, bugger. Hang on a second, I've made a bit of a mess here. Hold on a second, I'll do qualifying in a moment. There's one thing I forgot to do. There's one thing I forgot to do, a very simple setting that I forgot to engage. I do apologise, people. It's all about the visuals. So if I quickly go to options, we should be able to sort this. Start the stream strong, people. You're watching me mess around with the settings. As you can see, normal mode, I don't think so. We're going in the 1080i HD option that's brought in there to make things a little bit sharper for you all. That should make things that little bit better. But yes, I'm currently doing okay. As I say, Joe's getting ready to take on this challenge, which is going to be interesting. And there we go, we're actually seeing the car drop the jacks this time. So I've got wheel spin in second and third this time. I didn't have that at the Nordschlieffe, so that's interesting. Having to apply the throttle much more gently. It's only in the high gears. I think it might be because I've got low gear ratios. I think that might be the reason for it. If I really knew what I was doing with gear ratios, I'd actually set my gear ratios up manually. But every time I tried to do that, I've really messed my performance so badly, it's been undrivable. Look at those lovely 2D sections at the side there, people. The crowd with their hands up. So I mean about the tyres. Getting too quick on the accelerator cost me a lot of pace thanks to the car just wheel spin. The good thing about this lap is it's not that long, is it, people? But that's why we've got 95 of them to do instead of 25. advantage of the analog trigger, you can keep the throttle much more under control. But you're so busy watching the throttle, you sometimes go too deep. There we go, nice and wide, nothing wrong there. Aim to cut the wall. So this is just the qualifying practice. And then from there we'll actually get into the race. So it seems maybe 3/4 throttle will be enough. That's not too bad actually. I thought Silverstone yesterday, Joe, was brilliant. Really good race actually for Silverstone. Normally Silverstone's a bit of a procession, but it was great to see battles throughout the field. I love seeing McLaren going up against the Mercedes. I was really surprised they were able to do that on the hard tyres. I thought that was awesome. The fact that Verstappen didn't completely run away from the field was brilliant. I think there was some great duels throughout the field. There's some great performances as well, like Alex Albon getting into the points. We saw great performances from the AlphaTauris before they got taken out. Mio Avian saying you hate work. How is everyone? Well, good evening to you. Sorry that your work's getting in the way. There's nothing worse. I'm doing okay though. Thank you very much. I had coffee, so always fine. So we have pole position. With that in mind, we are going to go for the race. Yes, Joe, that was one of the best parts. I've seen Albon head to head with the Ferraris and winning. Brilliant. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, this is much more like an actual race. This amount to actually think more. I agree. Yeah, especially with Sargent coming 11th, that was the key for me. The fact that Albon, that Logan Sargent was so close to being in the points as well. It shows that the car is not just like a one-trick wonder. It's not one driver who's able to push beyond anybody else. The car is clearly drivable. And I really hope that Williams do that. I'd like Williams to beat Alfa Romeo and pass. It'd be nice to see Williams clawing back to the front on merit. Evidently their new director who's come from Mercedes knows what he's doing. James, not Vardley, but it's something like that. Just got too much wheel spin out of that corner then. Yes, his name's Valtteri, it's James. Yes, absolutely, that's right. Oh god, that must be something that he's not missing, to say the least. Oh, that was pretty good. Oh, nicely timed. I literally clipped the wall then. Could not have got close to the wall if I tried. Then we're up to the top. There we go. I got too late on the brakes. I'm focusing too much on the revs. When you're driving on your rev counter, you're not focused on your racing line. That's the only disadvantage to driving the Jag. Mine to drive on the Jag's rev counter. It's only when I'm getting near the red line that I can floor, on the third gear, that I can floor the throttle. In order to avoid cooking the tyres. Trying to avoid doing what Lewis Hamilton did at the Formula 1 race at Silverstone, where he cooked his soft tyres too early in his pursuit of Lando Norris. So massive respect to McLaren being able to hold off Mercedes like they did. Truly remarkable. So we are driving a Jag, invading Paris in a Jag. It's the Japanese American Championship and I'm here driving in the Jag. Well, the thing is, like, McLaren now, for me, I think they're a dark horse to win at Japan in Suzuka. I think they're going to be a dark horse for that. People keep thinking of Spa or Monza, and I don't agree. I think it's more likely going to be at Japan, where you got the medium to high speed corners a lot more of them. The likes of Spoon, the likes of Degner, the likes of Dunlop, the likes of the S's, the likes of the 130R. That's going to be much more their wheelhouse, so I think they're going to be quite dangerous. They're going to struggle in places like the hairpin and the Casio Triangle, but I think everywhere else on the lap, McLaren are going to be dynamite when it comes to the Japanese Grand Prix. Yeah, that was always going to happen then. I went too hot into the corner. What I tried to do is take that corner at 100 and the car was just not capable of it. But that's okay, it's something I can do. But as you say, Avian, yes, it's going to be a long race, this one. 95 laps of Opera Paris, but then again, we're already only 6.5 minutes in and we're coming up to the end of our 4th lap, so it's not going to be too bad. Alan Kayo asking, the name of this game is Gran Turismo 4, PlayStation 2, one of the classic racing games from that era. 2004 was released. The first version that led up towards GT7, and unlike GT7, there's actual content you can play offline in one-player career. Yes, that's right, I am not a GT7 stan. I will not apologise for that game, apart from the fact it shouldn't be in that position in the first place. So it's a good game to play, well worth digging out. PS2 classic, you can find it almost anywhere, well worth playing. And good evening to you, thanks for joining the stream. As we take on the 1,000 miles in a Jag. 1961 E-Type Jag, up against the likes of the Chevrolet Corvette and the Lancia Stratos, but it's fine because I drive a Jag. For those of you wondering why I'm getting so much tyre squeal, it's because I'm on sports hard tyres, because you have to use sports or normal car tyres for this championship, and that makes it quite tricky. There's very low grip, they're very easy to overheat, they're very easy to wear out. In short, they're not the best tyres to use. But thanks to the advantages of using a modern controller with proper analog triggers, it's much easier to control your throttle and prevent wheel spin. Revolutionises this game. It's amazing just how much of a difference analog triggers made. Of course, analog triggers, first time I encountered them was on the Sega Dreamcast of all places. Playing Metropolis Street Racer using the analog triggers, it was incredible. Totally transformed the atmosphere. Oh, don't even get me started thinking about the Mercedes CLK GTR on sports tyres. They would be awful. It'd be like taking a Dodge Viper out in the rain. So most people would usually B-spec this championship in triple speed. Me, I'm A-specking it because you all wanted to see it. So get comfortable, people. We're going to be here for quite some time. Still, at the moment, I'm not doing bad for tyre wear, and I've already got a card on coming up to lap. Crucially, the Chevy Corvette is quite a long way back, so this is awesome. Oh, I could not have caught him in a worse place. I did not want to catch him here. Luckily I got by him. I needed to do that. I needed him right out of my way. A back marker there would have been absolutely killer. That's the thing that I'm fearful with this track. Lapping traffic is going to be a real nightmare. I think it's like to set the whole stream, yeah. So get yourself a coffee, get yourself a brew, get yourself a beer, get yourself a takeaway, get yourself whatever you need. Sit back, relax. We're going to be doing quite a lot more laps of this. Good news is that we're already on lap 7 and we're 10 minutes into the stream, so that's not too bad actually. That's better than I thought it was going to be. The key, of course, is going to be how often a pit stop. That's going to be the key. I realistically want to get to about lap 11 before a pit, because that'll mean 8 pit stops like we had at the Nordschlieffe. Of course, the Nordschlieffe having a lot more high-speed corners and a lot more dips and undulations is going to take a lot more out of the tyres. So fingers crossed I can actually get even longer, but I don't know if I can. A lot's going to depend on the tyres, really, and if it's corners like this one here, yeah, that was slower, but was a lot better on the tyres. I've got to think about that. Because a pit stop takes about 30 seconds at least, so realistically you want to be out of the pits as much as possible. The less you're in the pits and on the track, the more lap time you set in. But on the flip side, you don't want your pace to be so slow that it's faster to go into the pits. That's why it's known as pit stop strategy, because different strategies can yield different results depending on the circuit condition, depending on the tyres, and depending on your driving style. Managing the wheel spin will help, definitely. Keeping the wheel spin to a minimum and utilising lower revs and less throttle. Meanwhile, good evening to you, Queen. You say you were enjoying Final Fantasy 16. Glad to hear it. I've been enjoying playing that, actually. PS5, go boo. Yes, it's not bad. It's better than I thought it would be, Final Fantasy 16. I don't know where you are in the story, so I won't say too much, but I've liked how the world has got a bit more developed than I expected. And even with the heavy influence from certain literary novels, it's not too much of a rip-off. The race is going fine so far, Queen, not too bad at all. Though I caught that traffic in the worst possible place. I did not want to encounter traffic there. You can see the lap count in the corner, Queen. Top left. Yeah, those tyres are starting to yellow on lap 8. Ugh. This is going to be a tight one. This is going to be tough. Unlike the last race though, Queen, the laps here don't take 8.5 minutes, so that's why the lap count is a lot higher. Because it's a shorter distance lap, much shorter difference. When I was doing the Nordschlieffe, you saw me doing between 8 and 9 minute laps. Here we're doing less than 2 minutes. Meanwhile, good evening, Irish Jack. What's been happening for me? Just work more than anything really, and playing Final Fantasy 16. How have you been doing? So the stream's going okay so far. We're on the first race of this, well, the second race of the 1,000 miles. We are in Opera Paris, in Paris, France, and we are currently in the lead. I have no idea how far in the lead we are, because I can't tell where the Chevy Corvette is. And generally, we're trying to do everything we can to get by. I need to be past you by the braking point. Get out of my way. I'll take that, that's good. I'll settle for that. I said I wanted to get to the end of lap 11 realistically before I pitted, because that would mean 8 pit stops, and that would be quite realistic given the tyres I'm on and the heavy rear wheel power of the E-Type's engine. Yes, Arista Jack, this is the 1,000 miles, so we've got to cover a lot of distance. Oh, that'll be a black and white flag for me there for track limits. I must say, actually, it was funny during the in the races. I think it was the F2 support race this weekend, where the safety car went all 4 tyres off and the commentators pulled them up on it. I thought that was awesome. At least one more lap. Ideally, I'd like to go 1 or 2 more if possible. I'd like to overstint it if I can, but we'll see how we go. This is where it's hyper-focused on a track like this. You've not really got much room to breathe. This is why it's a real challenge, actually, because you get major tunnel vision doing so many laps in such a small space of field. And you've got constant... If there was penalties, you know, like keeping in the track limits and everything else, this would be a really, really challenging race. It's challenging enough as it is. But actually, if they added things like that, you know, where if you had, like, you know, get penalties and all that kind of stuff, it'd make the game really, really rewarding getting towards the end of it. Well, I'm gonna try and keep the stint of these tyres going, because if I can, then I'll do it. Well, that was quite a clever way of doing it, actually, coasting through the corner. That actually was quite good for tyre life. I sound like I'm giving tips now on how to save fuel on your journey when you're on the freeway. Get behind the truck, go into neutral gear, break the law, no one's gonna care. Yeah, don't do that, kids. Don't do hypermiling. Hypermiling is quite dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Can I get one more lap out of this? If I can get 2 more laps, I might be on for a 7-stop strategy. But it's not going to be easy to do that. Still, it'd be nice to maybe cut onto a soft run if needs be. There's a splash. Fuel-wise, we're fine. Fuel's not the problem. See how coasting through the corner then might save tyre squeal. I needed rid of him by the time I got into the S's. Yep, just got to the edge of the grip then. So yeah, this must be riveting for all you viewers out there at the moment, seeing someone literally driving a circle, trying to manage the tyres. Yeah, that's part of the reason I don't like this course, Aris Jack. There isn't much in the way of flow to it. You mentioned there being a lot of tight corners, and there are. And that's not a bad thing if you have a flow to getting into the corners. But when you have like constant sections where it's really, really tight, it's just incredibly annoying. It's not quite point and squirt like certain tracks like the Hungaroring in Hungary, for example, but it's not very fun to drive either. Yeah, Joe, you seem to like this track. I can't stand it. You're like, yes, I stand. Opera Paris mine. Right, I think it might be best to go into the pits here, to be honest. I might cut in a lap earlier than I wanted to. I'm not going to fuel. Oh, the pit crew let me down there. I needed them to get me out ahead of him. He just pushed me off the track then, but luckily I was far enough ahead to make it count. Right, time to try and make this stint last even longer if I can. So this is all about control and patience. Two things I don't have much of, for those of you who've watched my streams before. Those of you who watched me throw my controller in Revelations Persona. Those of you who watched me scream during Crash Bandicoot 1 and 2. Those of you who've seen me kick off during the RNG moments of other games. So yeah, patience and control, not my strong suit. And yeah, I'm here for the long haul, people. So I hope you're all feeling quite patient. You're going to need to be. Yeah, you didn't see me do it on camera at the time because that's when I hadn't figured out how to get my camera working, Aristojack, but it did actually happen, yes. You hear me do it when a certain moment happened in Revelations Persona. It went down in infamy. To my knowledge, it's not been clipped into Rage compilations, but it should have been. To be fair, what the game pulled there deserved it. That was really uncalled for from that game. I've still not forgiven Atlas for that one. Not only was it a dirty move, but it also added loads of arbitrary playtime to the game for no reason. It was like, we've got no content. Let's find a way to reuse the content we've already got in the most ridiculous way possible. That's exactly what happened, and that's why it met the demise it did. Say, anyone's welcome to clip it to any song they want, Queen. The footage is on my channel, you're welcome to clip it and do what you want with it. Unlike some streamers, I'm not going to cry copyright if you do something like that. It's like if anyone made a compilation of my playthroughs saying like, this is how you don't play, or this is how you really, really suck. The only thing I'd want to be able to do is one day watch it back and laugh at it on stream and go, well, to be fair, they do raise a good point there. Because unlike certain streamers, I have a sense of humour. I'd find it quite funny. Because what I will say is, reality of anyone who's going to be like a Let's Player or a streamer, at some point someone is going to criticise your content. It's going to happen. So the best thing you can do is take the criticism on the chin, and as long as they're not doing anything really nasty like, you know, homophobic, racist or anything like that, if they're just genuinely poking fun at your content because your content has clearly done something foolish, roll with the punches is my advice. No, the one thing the internet can't forgive is someone who whines. They don't like it. Oh no, this is not where I want traffic. I do not need traffic here. This is a bad place to catch traffic. Unless, if I get them out of the hairpin, I might be able to do them on the way to the fast sweeper. I might just get away with this. I might just get away with this, depending on... No. Okay, yep, that's fine. Up the inside. Get out of my way. They must not unlap themselves. I do not want them to unlap themselves, because that can cause a massive problem. Wow, I mean, the thing is, like, people saying you only play old games. Well, first of all, right, there's nothing wrong with that. There's so many old games that are absolute classics. How many people still stream Super Mario Bros. 3 and Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat and Dishonored and Elder Scrolls Skyrim or Final Fantasy 7 or Resident Evil 2 or, you know, even Pac-Man, for God's sake. So, one thing, there's nothing wrong with playing old games. Old games can sometimes be more rewarding to play and more fun to stream. Secondly, with a lot of modern games, if you stream them when they're new, you met a lot of the time with embargoes, copyright protection claims, people saying that you're spoiling the game for other people. If you give any kind of commentary criticising, say, if it has like quite a lot of day one DLC, or if it has a lot of like pay to win mechanics, for example, and you're more critical, it's not always a good thing to play games new. Oddly enough, some of my least attended streams have been new games. I mean, I remember when I streamed Horizon Forbidden West, and thank you to everyone who watched me play that game, by the way. I had a load of fun playing it. But because it was such a new game, you know what people wanted to do? Play the game, not watch somebody else play it. So it's actually not a good thing if you're always streaming new games. New games don't always drive content. People complain that you might be spoiling. People feel that you might be abusing the mechanics. People have an entitlement problem where they feel like, why should you be able to play this before me? And there's a sense of ruining others' enjoyment by it. New games don't always guarantee current content. It's as simple as that. And as you say, Queen, yeah, I mean, if like my Resident Evil 4 remake stream, for example, I had an absolute blast playing it, do not get me wrong. But what always turns me in my recommended streams at the moment, outside Xbox's live stream of it, they're a far bigger channel than me. They've got millions of subscribers. If you're going to watch a playthrough of Resident Evil 4 remake, you're more likely to get them with a high audience than mine. And I'm not bitter or anything about that. I'm not at all. But it just shows that if you hang your hat on one new game, you can never be guaranteed you'll have an audience. Why are you bringing up the cough up, Avian? Why are you bringing that up? What have I done to deserve that? What have I done to deserve that suggestion? Oh, by the way, no. When we do Sonic 06, that is not in the rules. That will not happen. I can assure you of that. Oh, it was Arista Jack. What? Oh, okay, Arista Jack. You answer the question, and what did I do to deserve that suggestion? Oh, I bet you can't wait to see me play Sonic 06 Arista Jack. I bet you can. I bet you're not the only one. Trust me. I can smell the baying of the hounds on this one for sure. See, these guys are so much better through this section of the track because they can just plant the power. Whereas I have to be incredibly careful with my throttle. That was an incredibly risky move, but I had to go for it. Ah, you were thinking of memorable moments. Well, that certainly was memorable, you're not wrong. For all the wrong bloody reasons, but it was memorable. Still think, well, to be fair though, when it comes to the stream that the cough-up took part in, which again, unfortunately, I can't show to you all because it's lost media. Thank you, YouTube, with your untold more than 12 hours won't record rule. Thank you for telling me that. There was a great moment right near the end of the game when I was fighting a boss. And I've been wailing on this boss for absolutely ages. I was attacking it forever, and I'm just like, at one point I just said offhandedly, I've no idea how much damage I've done to the boss. And literally on my next swipe killed it. So I'm just like, enough. I've done enough. That's fine. Moving on. Because when it comes to my most memorable moment on stream, I think that has to be when I defeated Stormy Ascent on Crash Bandicoot. That was a moment of relief, to say the least. It was either that or beating the Demi-Fiend. I'm not sure which is the harder challenge. Well, that's awesome, maybe you're doing a bit of cardio while you're watching the stream. And so, I mean, you might find that your body's getting used to the exercise and it's moving a lot of content around it's not used to. So that's quite natural, really. If you're doing a lot more motion, you're going to have a lot more like muscle movements. So don't actually beat yourself up about that. That's fantastic. Keep it going. It was indeed Genesis. That's right. It was the form where it's like the sword was in the ground, where you attack the sword. I think. Where you had that sword that looked a bit much like the what's it called? The Thundercat sword. You were beating that up. Arista Jack, I believe it's the second to last part of the Crash Bandicoot stream. I literally beat one level and then the map had an extra option that I wasn't prepared for. Because I forgot I downloaded the level. I forgot I downloaded it. I must say, there are times in my streams where I see the chat, and if I look at it out of context, it makes me think something else is being discussed. And I know it isn't. It's just like, this has gone very off topic all of a sudden. Not that I mind so much. Without you people, there is no stream, so I always say thank you. Yeah, but Avian, did it taste as evil as the Sailor Jupiter drink that you finally tried while I was in Canada? Oh yes, I remember. I bought that for you. You're welcome. For those of you who don't know how bad that drink was, can't remember what stream I did it on, but I drank a can of it on stream and it was absolutely horrible. I think my exact reaction was something like, wow, that's fucking disgusting. But I still finished it. I didn't tip it away. Get out of my way, Mini Garkos. Blue flag! Blue flag! Oh, I went into that way too hot then. You remember the teacher, the one who had something in the ear. Whether it was a wound, a virus, a curse, or was love. This is the perfect time to try my new concoction. Of course, my voice is very different to the one that Queen 3210 gives him in her playthrough of the FemC route, so please go and check that out on her channel. Doing a Let's Play Persona 3 Portable using the FemC route, and it's very interesting, the differences in the way we play. It's nice to see someone actually come up with strategies in battles that are alternative, including one that I can't believe worked in an early boss. I can't believe it happened. I don't want to spoil it, but there's one early Guardian where Queen 3210 defeated them with a strategy I could not believe my eyes when I saw it. And Avian, your memorable part of Persona 5 stream was when Hifumi asked me to marry her. That was your memorable moment. Joe, the Sailor Jupiter drink, basically, there's Sailor Moon branded drinks you can get. And Sailor Usagi has, like, strawberry. Sailor Mercury has, like, blueberry. Sailor Pluto has, like, lime. Sailor Jupiter, despite being green, so you could have given her, say, apple, kiwi, grape, watermelon, they gave her cucumber. Nah, Avian, you want to try the Pokemon cheese drink. That's what you want to try. You want to try the salted cheese drink. I was so tempted to get you a can of that, you know. I was very tempted, but I resisted. I decided to be good and get only one bad drink for you. I was going to get you a second. Yeah, Quaint, it's interesting with Edagawa's voice. I remember when Bahamut Zero was watching. His idea was to have it like the scientist from The Simpsons. You know, kind of like, well, alright. That kind of thing. And yeah, your baby is much better than mine because you didn't make him one of the Germans, yeah? Despite the fact that he's French in canon. I started doing a German accent, I'm like, nope, this is my game, he's German. Now he is one of the Germans. Makoto-sama, how are you doing? Will you come to the fashion club, yeah? I say, live voice acting is actually amazing fun to do. It's such a good laugh, so I do it. So like, when you're having to like constantly try and switch on the fly. I had someone comment on one of my videos once saying that voice you gave that character, and I'm replying them like, you try voicing 18 different characters live on air. Come criticise me then. Put an audio clip of you doing the same thing, you know what I mean? It's funny you mentioned like watching the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged or the Dragon Ball Z Abridged. If you want to watch the Persona 4 Abridged, just watch the actual anime. The Persona 4 anime in dub is actually its own abridged series. I'll say that again in English, its own abridged series even. It makes that much fun of itself that it counts as its own abridged series. It's brilliant. Of course, you can only watch it illegally these days because for whatever reason it's disappeared. You can't buy it on DVD. At least you can't in Europe. I don't know if you can in America or Japan. It's interesting, Jay. You said you imitate the German accent well. I don't know why, because I don't really know that many German people, to be honest. And I'm always wary whenever I do that kind of accent. I'm actually being racist. I don't like doing it too much. It's why when I was voicing Cielo in Digital Devil Saga 2, I deliberately didn't do a Jamaican accent. Someone's got into the pits there at last. As we're 25 laps into a 95 lap race, people. And we've been at it for 42 minutes. So we're doing pretty good progress, actually. We're doing surprisingly well. Ah, you speak German. That's awesome, Joe. As I say, I know very little German, though you'll appreciate this, actually. In 2006, I went to a festival in Germany. It was a heavy metal festival called the Wacken Festival. It's quite famous. Had artists like Judas Priest headline it, Iron Maiden have headlined it, Machine Head have headlined it, and many others. Now, the year I went there, it was a year that on one day Ministry were headlining it. On the other day, I can't remember, it was Emperor were headlining it. And the other day, it was like the Scorpions and Michael Schenker group. Now, one day, I was there 3 days before the festival started, because you could get there that early, the campsite was open. So, I'm there in Germany, walking towards like a place to get some beer or something. And a German dude walks up to me and starts speaking random German to me. Starts saying all the random stuff. I suddenly go like this. Sorry, I don't speak English. Yes, that genuinely happened. It was only after I'd walked past him, with him giving me the most evil, confused look in the world, did I realise what I'd said, and I quietly went to get another beer and tried to drown my stupidity. Right, I'm going to box there because the tyres aren't in good condition at all. I'll tell you what, I'm not refuelling, I don't need to. I also had the temerity to walk around that festival wearing a t-shirt that said, Sprachen Sie English. Yeah, Avi, saying you only know English, where I was talking French and German, and then you get me. Nihongo wo hanashimasen ka? Soshite, dakara kono michi de iso gashite yo. Kono kuruma ga Jaguar Ita desu. Simlish? What the hell is Simlish? What are you referencing with that? I've never heard that one before. Simlish? I'm confused now. I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's a reference of some kind. It's gone way over my head. Through the sticks for 3 points. So the only French I know is courtesy of Persona 3, when Mitsuru always goes très bien. Ah, I see, Iris the Jack. Yeah, I wouldn't know that because I've never played The Sims. I kind of have PTSD with The Sims ever since one of my exes made Sims of us in the game to dictate how our lives were going to be. Yeah, I know that I sometimes don't mind. I don't mind alternative thinking, but that creeped me out somewhat. It's like almost like being a bug in a jar, that one, to say the least. And yes, that genuinely happened. One of my exes once did that. Now you know why I've been single since 2016. I really did not want to catch traffic there, but I don't want to burn my tyres out going the long way round. So as annoying as that was, I had to take the hit on the lap time then. Frustrating, but hey ho. I say, Joe, I don't know if you're the only French here, but I've not been to France in a long time. Last time I was there realistically was 2014 when I went to the Le Mans 24 Hour. That was fantastic, actually. I love that. I'd love to go back and do it again sometime. Although I must say the Le Mans 24 Hour was interesting because they had like announcements, you know, for the fans, like telling where the positions in the cars were. And 99% of it was in French because, well, it's a French motor race, so what do you expect? But they had an announcer who came on now and again to do summaries of the race in English. And the guy must have literally been pulled out of a cryo capsule from the 1930s. Because he was always like, well, in first place driver for Toyota right now is Kazuki Nakajima, who's been in there since 3 p.m. and is currently doing the middle of a long stint. We've currently got the fastest lap for Toyota. And then in second place, we've got Brendan Hartley chasing down in the number 17 Porsche. And I'm sat there going, where's all the pops and static and the bowler hats and the bomber shoots? What's going on? It's like, welcome back to the 1930s and the smooth sound of the BBC. That's the kind of thing I thought of myself when I heard it. Oh, severe frame drop then, at least it felt like it. It felt like a massive frame drop and I don't know why. Because I've not got any drops showing in my counter, so I'm interested by that. To be fair, Queen, smooth sound of paper over broken glass, yeah, that's like my version in the 1930s. They're not so pretty, not so nah bases. And it's cool that you've enjoyed yourself, Arista Jack. You have a good night, mate, and have a good night. As we are not far off 1/3 distance here, people. We might, if we do really, really lucky, we might finish this stream in less than 3 hours. Depending on how much we go. Got another 2 laps, realistically, before we'll be on par. So say this is all about smoothness and control and endurance and concentration, and it's an interesting challenge to live stream an A-Spec version of this race. I don't think I've actually ever A-Spec'd it. I think last time I did it, I'm sure I beast-backed it. So it's actually quite a nice change of pace, actually, this. Speaking of beast-back, actually, I saw a video recommended to me the other day that I didn't watch, which was, can an AI beat Gran Turismo 4? And essentially someone's trying to beat the game using only beast-back mode. I find that kind of interesting, because there's some races where beast-back Bob, as is known, was not that great. I think it was the second Le Mans endurance race, Le Mans 2. He often had a habit of pulling up at the side of the Mulsanne straight for no reason. At least they did in my copy of the game. So I'd be interested to see how they get around that and what strategies they do to beat it. Yeah, accidentally set the race to beast-back. I took a race off, but it wasn't too bad, to be fair. It was kind of interesting to interrupt with live commentary and watching the race from TV cameras rather than the cockpit view. Yeah, I was afraid I'd catch this Marcos here. I did not want to do that. Oh, but he's gone massively wide. Oh, what the hell are you doing? What are you? What are you doing? This guy's a worse driver than me. He could almost be as bad a driver as Haru. Dude, what is your problem? Get out of my way. Get the fuck out of my way. You absolute imbecile. Let's say standard English is complicated enough, Queen. But if you add all the dialects involved in English, our language makes no sense at all. Pop quiz for you all. What do you think this means? Get ready. In 3, 2, 1. Alright and that. What do you think that means? Alright and that. And Joe, I'm not surprised you mix German and English, because quite a few of the Anglo words come from Germanic descent. English is a melting pot of Latin, Gaelic, French, Roman Italian, German. It makes no sense at all. Nope, it wasn't imagine that, Queen. I'll say it again. Alright and that. Alright and that. What do you think that means as a phrase? Someone comes up to you and goes, alright and that. What do you think they're saying? What do you think they're trying to ask you? As for Spanish, Queen, the only Spanish I remember is "Va a la mierda tu pájaro," which is a rather nasty insult. Very satisfying insult, but a nasty one. Avian, that would be a very good logical explanation, but no, it's not. Are you alright with that? That's not what it means. I'll tell you what it means. Alright and that. In Mancunian, so Manchester and Salford of the United Kingdom, is a way of saying, are you alright and what have you been up to? Literally, alright, as in, are you alright, and that, what have you been up to? Seriously. That's what it means. Pendejo, yep, I know Pendejo. Hola, hola, ¿qué tal? Which is hello, how are you? Va a la mierda, which is go, well, it literally translates as go to the shit, but it means fuck off. Pájaro, which means wanker. which is why I find it funny when anyone drives a Mitsubishi Pajero. It means you can literally call a 4x4 driver a wanker, and they never realise. Yeah, I know quite a few words in Spanish. I'm going to say, if you think that's confusing, Queen, the word us in West Yorkshire is often used to refer to our, rather than a collective group of people. So instead of, for example, you're holding our driver at fault, they will say, why are you holding us driver at fault? It's the way of us culture instead of the way of our culture. So English dialect is a nightmare. I'm not surprised that people find it so fucking hard, because we are arseholes when it comes to languages, the English. And yet somehow our language is one of the most dominantly used in the world. I think that has everything to do with us being imperialist twats a few centuries ago. I need to take a quick sip of water, guys, sorry. Well, that sucks about your teacher doing that, Queen. That's bad. Get out of my way! Japanese can be hard to learn, Joe, but sometimes there's parts of it which are actually quite straightforward. In terms of the writing is the hardest part, because you are right, you learn hiragana and katakana first, but to really understand how to use kana, as it's known, which is hiragana and katakana, you need to also know some kanji, because that's how you make the fusions together to make them work. So it can be quite tricky if you only know kana. Especially if you go to Japan, because a lot of their signs and that are in, like, as I say, they are in kanji and kana. So if you don't have the understanding of it, you'll struggle. Like Otoko no Hito, for example, is like, you know, male roots and things like that. So you need to have all of it together. The way to learn kanji, Joe, is to learn it in bits. So you have to, like, most books like Genki 1 and Genki 2, for example, in the module they will teach you 10 kanji characters along with everything else you need. So you might learn, like, how to say person, you might learn how to read dog or rice field or train, for example, or car, and then it will slowly build in and drip feed in the words. And often a lot of the books will have what's known as furigana, which is they'll have a kanji symbol like the kanji for person, and then on the top of it in short text they'll have the kana version so you can read how it's pronounced, and that's a good way of learning as well. A lot of manga books, literal Japanese versions of manga comics, have the furigana, so it's not a bad place to start, but I wouldn't recommend using it as a way to learn the language, purely because a lot of the time they use forms and words that are not used in common dialect. For example, the word I, the formal form is known as watakushi, but a lot of people say watashi. However, there's a form that's got very popular in anime and manga called boku, B-O-K-O, and it's very much a case of a little boy, so you're saying you're a little kid if you say that. So if you say boku wa Joe desu, you're saying I'm Joe and I'm a kid, whereas if you say like watashi wa Joe desu, you'd be saying I am Joe, essentially. So there's a brief Japanese lesson for you all. Watashi wa, your name, des means I am, and then your name. So, but not a bad little icebreaker if you run into someone who speaks Japanese. I would not recommend learning it solely from textbooks, Joe, no. You're best off learning it in class, purely so you can speak to people. A lot of other people recommend getting access to some of the Japanese police procedurals and things like that, like TV dramas, because that's a good way to hear the language spoken, because it's not just about the words you say, but also how you pronounce them. Pronunciation is massive in Japan, because certain words change form depending on how you pronounce it. One of the best examples for this is the words for building and beer, because to say a building, the word is bilu, so bilu, B-I-R-U is how it's spelled in English, but it's pronounced bilu. Whereas beer is bilu, you extend the B sound, so you go bilu. So if you walk into a Japanese bar and go Histatsu bilu kudasai, they'll laugh at you because you're asking for one building, please. If you say Histatsu bilu kudasai, they'll get you a beer. Me and a friend once wanted to make a joke bar in Tokyo, where we had a super-sized beer, which was like in the shape of a bottle like Tokyo Tower, and anytime someone came in and asked for a building, we'd serve them that and charge them 2,000 yen. So if any Japanese bars are thinking of doing that, contact me on my YouTube channel and we can discuss royalties. The media partnerships and everything else that's involved in that. Oh, yeah, you're not wrong actually, Queen. Yeah, commas are appropriate. Let's have grandfather, comma, for dinner versus let's have grandfather for dinner. The sentence changes for let's have him over to give him dinner to let's go cannibal and eat him for dinner. I got that one courtesy of an American author. I can't remember what the name was. Someone like someone B. Jenkins. I can't remember what the full name is. This guy cannot drive the chicane. He has no idea what he's doing. If you want to visit Japan and want to learn the language, Joe, I will happily give plenty of things anytime. Tell you what I'll do. What I'll do is I'll try and get a photo of the textbooks that I use, because they're quite easy to get online. You can get versions of them online. If I get photos of them, I can actually link you to it, and you can take a look at the books. Not a bad place to start. And obviously from there, just like if you can, just like speak to anyone native if you can online, or even find some videos. Like I imagine if you can find any of the NHK broadcaster videos of Yuki Tsunoda and Kamui Kobayashi doing interviews after Formula 1 and the World Endurance, that'd be a great place to start if you want to hear how like the language is spoken, because you might have a chance of catching what they're saying due to the context of it. So that's NHK, November Hotel Kilo. They're a famous broadcaster from Japan, and they have basically the rights for, I think it's for F1, World Endurance, and DTM, I think. So they cover those races. So if you've got like Yuki, and any races featuring Yuki or Kamui or Rio Haryanto, you might be able to get some contacts from that quite easily. I'm going to pit on this lap. And anytime, mate, if I can help you learn, then I'll happily share my knowledge. Because I've been to Japan 5 times, so I've learned quite a lot. I do understand they've got a lot better at understanding English, though, because they had a massive drive for it before they hosted the Olympics. Now, of course, with pandemic, they didn't have as many people over for it as they wanted, but they still had a lot of native speakers picking it up. And knowing some of the language is important, I agree with you, but don't get cocky. I once accidentally spoke Japanese at the immigration border and they started trying to do the thing in Japanese. I immediately said, I'm sorry, I was just being polite, I don't know the language. Don't make the mistake of speaking to an official person in their native language, whatever you do. Because that's where you can get yourself in whole heaps of trouble with misunderstandings. Stick to your native language. That's one tip I will give you. If you're stopped by a cop or immigration or anyone, speak your native language. I'm going to risk not fueling. Given what's gone on in France lately, I don't want to talk about the police over there, to be honest. Because it's not wise based on the situation that's arisen, and I feel really sad for everyone who's been caught up in it. I don't know much about it because I'm over the pond, but I understand there's been lots of problems with the police in France of late, so I don't want to get too involved in that. Oh no you don't. You're not unlapping yourself. You're not allowed to do that. You've been lapped. You've been lapped. Get back behind me. You've been lapped. You might have better traction out the corners, but you're nowhere near as fast as me. Back in your loser lane where you belong. That's right, we definitely don't want that, Joe. You're quite correct. We don't want Ocon versus Verstappen in 2018. We do not want that. I don't remember you sounding like that when we were playing Mario Kart, Queen. No, they better not be, Joe. Those things will fuck off and die. Yes. Avian, I remember you throwing those blue shells. And you too, Queen. I remember that. Well, because I was better than you. Yeah, that's my excuse, by the way, people. That's my excuse. The truth is, I wasn't better than anybody. I was quite rubbish. Because I'm not a kart racer. Yeah, Fearsome Queen, I can hear you. It takes a lot to terrify me, Joe. Scenes involving my little sister in the bath. That terrified me. For those of you who are present for Song of Memories will know exactly what I'm talking about there with that one. Oh yes, a certain love hotel scene involving a cosplayer and the character I was playing as. That's another thing that was rather disturbing to me as well. Again, those of you who were there for Danganronpa V3 will know exactly what I'm talking about there as well. There's a few things in the world that terrify me, but there's a couple of examples for you right now, Joe. They're deep in the archive, where they belong. Buried and not to be seen easily. Oh, that's a shame, Joe. You say you've got the original Mario Kart on DS but lost the charger. Just buy a new charger. You should be able to get an aftermarket one on Amazon quite easily. Be worth doing it. Well, it won't cost you a lot either, I imagine. I'd be surprised if it cost you much money. Loads of places are making, like, all new adapters for retro tech, as it's known, because it's got cooler. Collecting retro tech and adapting it to make it easier for use on modern hardware is a major thing. Also, if you've got the DS, I think isn't it the GameCube that you can like? No, that was Game Boy Advance. I was thinking of not the DS. I know you can definitely plug old cartridges from one of the handheld consoles into it. I think it might be the Game Boy Advance though, rather than the DS. In fact, that'd make more sense if it was the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, definitely. You'll probably find one in a store like that for sure. But the actual adapters, cables and everything else, a lot of stores make quite a lot of money off them. Because they're out of print these days and hard to source. They'd usually get them for that reason. A lot of retro fairs are worth going visiting too. I've had some great success at retro fairs. Yeah, playing hours of Mario. I remember playing a lot of hours of games back in the day. It's always one of the best things in the world. Looking back on the memories of playing those old games. Playing Final Fantasy VII for the 100th time. Yes, I've actually done that. I've beaten that game that many times. I know it almost inside out. Oh no. I gassed way too early then. I was thinking too much about getting past this Mini Marcos driver because he just doesn't know how to drive his car. I'm not getting caught behind that guy again. He has no idea how to drive. So all you cared about was blowing up the other drivers, eh, Avian? You really were Haru when it came to Mario Kart. None of that's a bad thing. The whole point of that game is to try and piss people off, so it makes sense. So, honestly, when I return to Canada, I'm going to have to bring my copy of the Zombies board game. That'll be a great thing to play in the hotel room. A game where the idea is to try and piss off your players as much as possible. And screw people over. I hated it when you had a Star Avian. I remember you trolling by running me off the road like Hyoko in the Danganronpa V3 anime. I know it happened. I remember cursing you for it and getting my revenge. That literally was a moment of you have chosen death. And I made sure I cashed in. But we're getting there. We're slowly grinding our way through this epic Grand Prix. Yes, my E-Type Jaguar has way more power than yours. Overcooked it a bit there, sorry people, I wasn't paying much attention then. Yes, okay. We're not far off half distance here, people, would you believe? In fact, we're actually past half distance. In fact, yeah, we're actually that close to half distance, would you believe? We're doing good. I say the fuel economy of this car is fantastic. It's done way better than I thought. We're doing good here. Yes, we're doing good. We're holding it together. It's done a couple of laps and then we can go for a pit stop, which is awesome. And we will have to refuel after this. For the first time, we will be refueling. But considering we've gone like half race distance, I'm just going to chuck it in. I'm just going to chuck it all the way up to the top. We've gone more than race distance. We've done awesome. Wow, they had to brake halfway through that corner though. That's really surprising. I didn't think they'd have to do that. I might see if I can push these tyres towards complete exhaustion before I go into the pit, so I can make sure that I've got plenty of time to get the fuel in. Because we're actually doing quite a decent lap time here. I'm actually quite impressed. I say it's funny. Whenever I play modern Mario Kart, the character I choose is the Inkling Go from Splatoon. Mainly because it's like a really trolling Futaba who's driving the car. Especially when she's winning the race and celebrating, and then one of the jealous people behind you blue shells them to shut them up. Yeah, that didn't happen at all, did it, Queen? No. Oh, I've got the Mini Marcos driver coming up. I don't want to be near him. He's an absolute tool, a buffoon. Yes, I know the truth, Queen. I know the truth. I'm petty enough to have done the same thing myself. That was a very risky move, but I got away with it. Really risky. Okay, this is good. Yeah, that tyre's going. It's time to box. Change tyres and put fuel in the car. Let the naturally aspirated engine of the Jag drag me further along. Nice bit of drifting there, because that's going to make me go faster. Sliding sideways, yeah, of course it is. Not the best way to drive that, people. You want to try and avoid drifting if you can. Yeah, you can hear the lack of traction in the tyres now. So this is time to box and stop. Yep, and we are going to refuel. Realistically, we can go to about 65 for fuel, I reckon. But I'm going to actually go to about... That should do it. And I've kept my gap over the Corvette, so I've kept my lap advantage, which is fantastic news. Oh, I gassed way too soon then. I gassed way too early. That was poor. I got trigger happy on that, quite literally. Fortuitously, it's only going to warm the tyre up, so it's not too bad. Right, so we've got 40 laps from here, which means we might be able to stop only twice, if we're lucky. If I can time it right. Yeah, lap 14 from here, 14 again, that'd be enough. That'd get me to the end of the race. I did go quite a long stint last time, to be honest, so it might be possible. Oh, coming way too fast then. I'm not going to manage this strategy for doing mistakes like that. I've got to cut that out immediately. That's the old fatigue of getting too long in the race and not paying full attention. Because again, it's like, you had all the things to watch tonight, and you chose to watch one person play an old game nearly 20 years ago, driving 95 laps around one circuit. It's an endurance stream, it's a let's endure moment. I've actually seen them gaining prominence, actually, what's known as let's endure streams, where you literally watch a painfully bad experience to see if you can survive it. It's not quite as much enduring and trying your patience as these 10-hour videos. They're the things I've never understood. You know, like 10 hours of Sideshow Bob stepping on rakes, or 10 hours of Matt Hardy going, yes. I don't understand where those videos came from, the 10-hour videos. I don't know why they became a thing, or yeah, but just why, actually. Any theories in the chat would be appreciated. And no, I'm not doing a stream where I watch one of those videos either, because that would be very, very boring for you and extremely boring for me. Background noise for sleeping? I suppose if you had it for the right sound effect, that could work, actually, now I think about it, Avian. Like 10 hours of like really nice ambient space music maybe, but something like 10 hours of Sideshow Bob stepping on rakes, or 10 hours of oh no! Anyway, or 10 hours of James May's cheese meme, as you put in the chat there, Joe. Yeah, I get the feeling that wouldn't work so well. Avian, what do you mean 10 hours of Call Me Maybe? What's that referencing? What is that? I've never heard of that before. At least I don't think I have. The name doesn't ring a bell anyway. It's a song, is it? Right, I mustn't have heard it. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? You guys tell me in the chat. Or if I have heard it, I don't remember it. Again, is that a good thing or a bad thing? You people tell me in the chat. It's a pretty bad one, Queen. In that case, I'll take the fact that I've never actually heard it. I'll take that as a win. 10 hours of lamb chop sing-along. Hey, Avian, you're throwing random crap at me now. I've no idea what you're talking about. And if they're lyrics, Queen, I don't recognise them, and yeah, that's fine. I'll say no more. I don't know what it is. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for telling me. Now, be gone. It says a children's theme intro. If it is, I don't remember it. But then again, let's not forget I'm from the UK, so it might not broadcast over here. We had other stuff like, I don't know, Chris mentioned doing that one called the Playbus, which I kind of vaguely remember, but I don't remember much about it. So there's actually a song from years ago here in the UK in the 1980s made by the creators of TV show Spitting Image, and it's referred to as the worst song to ever chart at #1 because it deliberately took the piss. That songs that had lyrics like "You'll hate this song and be humming it all week." I can't remember what the hell it was called. I think it's mainly because I never really got a chance to like sit down and watch stuff like that when I was a kid. It's like, yeah, it just wasn't for me. Yeah, I don't know it. I am lucky, I guess. I am one of the uncursed for now. This is good. We're doing all right. 60 laps in, people. Would you believe? And we've covered quite a long distance. 1 hour and 41 minutes. We're making good pace. I think my strategy of not fueling the car has helped, to be honest. That's given me quite a lot of time back, not fueling the car. Until recently. You do get into a very deep trance doing a race like this. You're just constantly thinking, can I get the corners right? Can I make sure I don't lose more than 10 centimetres going through this bend? And it's just like, if your car is responding to you the way you want it to, then you can enjoy it no matter where you are. Drivability in your car is just so much more important than you realise. A car that's easy to drive and you can focus on just getting your nailing your lines. And I will say this Jag, despite the awkward revving that I'm having to do, other than that, does a great job of it. Once I'm out of second and third gear, it's a case of foot to the floor. It's getting out of second and third gear. That's the part that takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. But the rewards are so worth it. And I say this Jag has been a godsend. I've really enjoyed driving it. Considered one of the greatest sports cars of all time, the Jaguar E-Type. Absolutely, Joe. Yeah, when you nail a perfect lap, you're just thinking, "Good God, yes, I really did that well." I'm amazed how little skill the computer has going through those chicanes. They keep on making so many mistakes. It's like they've got one line that's programmed in, and they just don't know what to do with the line when it's not quite got the grip they want to pick up. I will say though, AI is one thing that Gran Turismo has never provisionally got right. It's always done some terrible stuff. There's a great series of videos by Ruffle Waffle where he talks about the AI and how it is really strange and really bad and gets stuck in stupid places where it just doesn't make sense. But then again, this is the company who, rather than sort their AI out in-house, decided to get an algorithm externally via another company, run it for about 3 or 4 races and then take it out again. Ironically, they call it Sophie, so maybe their fans are Persona 5 strikers. And boom, look at that, 1.5 seconds faster out of nowhere. There's a perfect lap for you. Yeah, you say that on Gran Turismo 3 the AI are terrible at Monaco. I found that quite a lot of the city tracks, they're not brilliant at. Like, for some reason it's like they can't operate on street circuits very well. Maybe that's why in GT7 they took all the street circuits out. There's a conspiracy theory for you. Wow, very close to the wall then with that one. Excellent, this is awesome. Whoops, gassed a bit too early then. Generated way too much wheel spin. No traction. We're 5 laps from the pit stop, so I've got to be careful here. So after that I want to do one more stop. Oh, that was tight. That was very close to going into the wall, but we got away with it. Yeah, this race has been better than for time, hasn't it? 'Cause we're only for 30 laps left to go now. And we're less than 2 hours distance, so we should easily do it in less than 3 hours. Providing there's no mistakes. So that's pretty awesome. I'm quite impressed with that. Again, I think part of the key has been like the way I've been driving the car to minimise wheel spin, and the fact that I also only fueled up at the last stop. So I kept my fuel out of the car for a long time, just so I could have like less time in the stops with the rig next to the car, which is something I didn't do in the Nürburgring. It means that both the next 2 races I'll try the strategy again of not being in the pits too often. And I said the car's got good pace as well. The car's been pretty fast. Realistically, as long as I can get to the point where I pit for the final time between lap 78 and lap 82, I'll be okay. So realistically, I don't have to go too many more laps. It's all about the tyre wear now. I don't think it has, oddly enough, Joe. I would have expected it to go faster with less fuel in the car, but it didn't. I set my fastest lap with a tank way heavier than the others. So I don't think it's made any effects at all, which is a real shame. Because it'd be nice if, like, you know, you got less tyre wear and you got better acceleration and better cornering, you know what I mean? Because in real life, obviously, when you got less fuel on board, you're carrying less weight. So you've got a lot more power immediately because there's less mass to shift. And also it takes less out of the tyres going through the higher corners because you're putting less load into the tyre because you're putting less weight down onto the ground. So it's strange that they didn't really simulate that. They obviously simulate driving the car at high speed. They simulate going into the pits. But they don't simulate the effects apart from tyre wear. Tyre wear, I've not got a problem with. The tyre wear simulated quite well. That does feel like it goes off. And goes off quite heavily depending on how exuberant you drive. But I find that the fuel could have been handled better, in my opinion. Because my fastest lap time was like with a 3/4 full tank. So you can't say that the fuel was where you get your speed from. Well, your fuel load rather than your fuel itself, I mean. Right, that back right tyre has gone. That back right tyre has blown. I felt I was getting very sharp turns to the right under braking then. So it's time to change these tyres. Again, I did burn them out a bit when I was on the opening lap. I was gassing too fast. So I think I've wasted at least 1 or 2 laps in tyre wear from the way I was driving. So that's disappointing, but manageable. You can see how I'm getting less grip through the high-speed corner then, where the tyre on the right-hand side is taking a pounding. So let's say it's a bit frustrating to pit as early as this, but I'll have to do it. Fortuitously, it'll still put me on par from what I want my final pit stop to be. And I'm not going to need to fuel. I've got way too much fuel in the car. Not that I'm bothered. It means I'm guaranteed to make it home. I just saw my mirror getting full of a rival's car then, and it's like, no, you're not unlapping yourself, not now. So as we get onto the other side here, this is good. Then up the gears and full gas as we keep on battling to get through. We're not far off the end now. Damn it, I really needed to get past him. Oh, you imbecile. Fine, I'll do you around the outside of the final bend then. Put another lap on you while I can. Oh, bugger. Did it again. Because when I'm spinning up the tyres, I'm not gaining much speed either. So it's both ends are burning. It's not good. There we are, there's the gear change. Thank you for the slipstream, I needed that to get past you. Fantastic, bada bing, we're good, okay. As we are at the end of lap 69. And we're doing pretty good. So it's not been as unenjoyable as I thought this stream. I expected this to be a really nasty stream to get into. Because the circuit I really don't like. But I think taking the jag and having to really think my way around the laps has made it a bit more enjoyable. Made it more like a challenge stream than anything else. making smoke. We've got 25 laps to go, so there's going to be one more pit stop. And then after that, we will be home and free. So anywhere between lap 81 and 84 would be brilliant for a pit stop. I really do not want to have to do a final splash and dash at the end. I do not want to have to do that. But if I have to, then so be it. We've got the distance to play with, so it's not like we're under threat. It's not like we've got to keep out the pits at all costs to manufacture a gap because we're being chased down by an LMP1 car. We have the lead. We have this comfortably in the bag. What we've got to do is drive very patiently, very precisely, and just focus on getting to the end. And the first time I say that, I go straight into the wall because I wasn't paying attention. So it shows it doesn't take a lot for you to screw your race up. I realised halfway through the corner I was going too fast. So I took a wider line and got on the brakes to try and trail brake my way through it. And it was a good rescue attempt actually, I didn't do too badly. Yeah, this is right. So I say there's not much we can really say here. We just got to try and hang on to the end. 23 laps from glory, people. That's all that's left to go. So this is a fantastic challenge. So it's just a shame that you can't do this on the modern game with modern cars and modern physics, because for whatever reason they've not put this in here. For a prize car for this, I want something truly special. I want a proper old school Le Mans car, something like, well, I mean, I know that Ferrari and Porsche aren't in this, but it'd be awesome if we had something like the 50s Jaguar or the 60s Mercedes or even the Gullwing Mercedes. I'd want a car that's got some significant historical value. Considering how much effort it's going to take to win this tournament, I will be very disappointed if we don't get anything that's a true classic, like the Mercedes Gullwing, the Chaparral 2J fan car, the Ford GT40 race car. I'd want something like that. I'd want a truly spectacular prize car. Something that you've really had to work hard for. Now the old classic Le Mans races from the late 60s are more like the in-between bathtub and prototype designs, basically. You know, where you're in between the bathtubs and the prototypes. That's the kind I want. Something like that. Something truly spectacular. Of course, we're not going to find out what it is until at least 2 weeks, because we've still got the races on the Côte d'Azur and the races at Le Mans to do. Apologies, people. I feel something in my eye then. Thought I had like some kind of bug or something in my eye. Being here in summer, it doesn't know if it's going to be rainy, wet, hot, and the wildlife is going crazy at the moment over here, so it's not very pleasant at the moment. Yeah, Le Mans will be interested in this car. 35 laps, where it's going to be a lot faster. I reckon that could be quite a quick stream, because like with the amount of laps involved, I mean, the very minimum it's going to take is, I reckon it's going to be a 4-minute lap, approximately, around Le Mans. So, a 4 to 5 minute lap with 35 laps means you're going to have quite a long stream, but it'll be such a good laugh. So that'll be an interesting one, to say the least. Ooh, a little bit of lag again then. Not quite sure why, but we're getting that. Maybe the race is like, come on, can we finish now? And I'm like, when the checkered flag falls, yes, but until then, no. We will be stuck to the end. I say it's rare to A-spec a race like this. Bear in mind, of course, at one point I was talking about doing an A-spec of the 24-hour races. That would be interesting. That would be a challenge. 12 times the video footage we've got now, people. Excellent, we're through, that's good. Say tyre wear is just holding up at the moment. Well, that's the thing, exactly. I wouldn't know which one to do, the 24-hour of Le Mans or the Nürburgring. I mean, admittedly, the Nürburgring technically could be quite easier to track because the laps are so long. You can have an idea of how many laps you can do. But at the same time, I get the feeling that Le Mans would be an easier time in terms of actually being able to get your energy back and being able to focus and get breaks in between. So I don't know which would be better to do. They'd both be very, very challenging, to be honest. And of course with Le Mans, you have to decide, is it going to be Le Mans with the chicanes or Classic Le Mans with no chicanes? Because I reckon at Le Mans you could set yourself a pace guide of like say a 3:18 or a 3:20 per lap and just try and keep your tyres going and go all the way to the end. Oh, what the... Okay, I caught him out by braking there, didn't I? I was way better on the brakes. He didn't even see me coming. I've no idea how many laps in front I am now. I'm actually quite a few laps in front, I think. So technically these guys can't finish the 1,000 miles because by the time I'm done with the race it'll be all over and their race distance won't be close enough. So they technically shouldn't be able to beat me in the 1,000 miles because of the laps. But, as they say, to finish first you have to finish. So, let's focus on that for now. Well, I've heard many people say it. I think Murray Walker said it at one point as well, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure Schumacher said it, yeah. Because again, if you don't finish, then you can't win the race if you don't finish the race. So it's about being able to make it home. So it's very important that you focus on that. This is again, if the game had mechanical failures and everything else, that'll make it quite interesting. But I don't even think the modern games have that. You know, it's like, well, you have to like short shift your car to avoid breaking your gearbox and things like that. I don't believe that's actually even a thing in the modern game, which is disappointing to say the least. I need to try and get to the end of lap 81 at the very, very least. So this is going to be a tough ask on these tyres, but I'm going to try it. I really don't want to have to make 2 pit stops before the end now. I've come this far, I don't want to have to stop again, apart from my next stop. My next stop I'm going to need, I know that much. But I'd like to avoid having to stop again. On top of that. Yeah, you can have mechanical failures. My mate was a big player of the modern F1 games, and he'd be there talking to me in party chat. And then the next thing you'll be like, oh, for God's sake, mechanical failure, my race is over. I'd be like, how many laps have you done? And you'd be like, 49. And I'd be like, oh, nasty. Because what else can you say? Just... Well, you can have mechanical failures as early as the older games. On the PlayStation 3, there was a remake of Formula 1 2006 called Champion Edition, which was a massive improvement over the PS2 one. And that had not only mechanical failures for you, but for the computer as well. You'd be like randomly halfway through the race, and then James Allen would be like, oh, what's this? It's Ralph Schumacher. His engine's gone. He's pulling over. And I used to love that because it was like so cool to like not see the computer just drive around, like following a mindless chain, and things can actually happen to them. It was kind of cool to see. Yeah, if you want to feel old, people, look up how old when the PlayStation 3 launched. That'll make you feel old. And if you were a gamer at that time, you'll be feeling very, very old indeed. Kind of like me when I think about the Sony PlayStation 1 and the Sega Mega Drive. Yeah, I was there, Gandalf. I was there 30 years ago. In fact, that's a key point. 2025, that's when the PlayStation 1's 30th anniversary will be coming. I'll be doing a series of streams for that, I'm sure. Digging up some classic games. And doing a lot of content on it. Well, I've managed to get to lap 81 like I hoped I would. So I'm going to have to pit this lap because I can feel that right rear tyre giving way. It's at the point where it's going to go red and start spinning up. So I'm struggling even now, even with gentle throttle, I'm still getting the wheel spin because the tyre's got no grip. Because the bite point in the lower gears is too high. So the tyre is just... See, I felt it then, I felt the car drifting halfway through the corner. And that's a major sign of a problem. Now's the time to pit. Ah, PS1, you got one for Christmas. I got one for my birthday when I was 14, I think it was. I got my PlayStation 1. First game I got for it was V-Rally. And I also had, I think it was the first Tomb Raider, I think. Still my greatest memories in terms of a console, the PlayStation 1. That was my formative years. So many classics. Of course, once I got Gran Turismo, everything changed. Wow, that's one hell of a first game, Avian. Parasite Eve. That's an amazing first game. I say I love doing the stream of that. I need to at some point do Parasite Eve 2. I need to pick that up at some point. Hogs of War or Space Invaders? Hogs of War would have been a great one to start with. Space Invaders, if it was the 3D one, it was rubbish. So I remember playing a sequel to Flashback called Fade to Black, which was kind of cool, but also not that great. However, I am hoping at some point to play one of my favourite PlayStation 1 games via Steam, as it was recently ported and released in a new engine. And it's a game I've wanted to stream for a long time, so if I can make that work at the back end of this year, maybe around the time of like August, September, that might be a stream series I do. But I'm not going to say any more on it, because I need to be able to make sure it works first and I can play it. Oh, bugger. I thought I got away with that. I thought I caught it, but not enough. That would have been a race under for real, so I'm kind of happy there's no damage models. That would have been a way to blow out the stream, wouldn't it, people? Doing okay here, people. We're into the home stretch. So it's also the one you finished at Avian, but still that's one hell of a game to start your collection with, Parasite Eve. So in terms of the PS1 era RPGs, I've finished so many great ones. There's one game that I love that actually I could finish in a single day. A game called Vandal Hearts. It's like a tactical RPG. Really good game, actually. I should do that at some point as a stream, because it'd be an interesting one. Okay, we're getting that. Oh, we all have fun tonight watching me pound around this circuit, talking about guff and doing everything we can to keep things going. But I've enjoyed it tonight. It's been good. It's the second of 4 races, of course. The next stream that I do for GT4, we will be taking on another race here in France, but this time we're going to the streets of Monte Carlo. We'll be taking on the Côte d'Azur for 99 laps. Now that's going to be a big challenge, because that's going to be a very, very long race indeed. And it's going to be a challenging race given the nature of the circuit. And then the final stream for this particular series of races after that will be 35 laps of the Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans, also in France. So if it wasn't for the Nürburgring, it'd have been a very French event. Curious, considering it's based off the Mille Miglia, which was Italian. Go figure. Nice drift there, sir, in your red car. Wasn't very fast, but it was very nice, very elegant. Ah, it's the return of Mr. I don't know how to drive. Oh, well. He did know how to drive until I crashed him out. To be fair, that was on me, that one. Doing all I can to try and protect these tyres, because it's all about your speed and your control and your smoothness. I say having analog triggers makes such a difference. Yeah, you're true actually, Mr. I know how to try in the wall at Monaco. It would certainly be a fitting place for him to end up, or maybe even in the harbour. But as I say, for now, I can't ignore that. I've got to put that to the back of my mind and focus on finishing the race. 87 and 95, we're almost there. So this race has been quite a good one, because I say it's not been as long as I thought it would be. It's still been long, don't get me wrong, but it's not as lengthy. Bear in mind, considering that when we did the Nürburgring, well, it took us 3.5 hours to get through that race. It's a very wide line then, but I've got away with it. Good, we're almost there. just hope I don't have to stop for a final set of tyres. I'm hoping the tyres will last. I don't want to stop again. I was having to make a few slight adjustments in my seat. I do apologise for the noise. Sorry mate, you're in my way. Yes, Chevrolet, that's how you overtake traffic. That's how you do it. You make them get out of your way. Very smooth, very accurate, and very long lasting this race. We're at just over 2.5 hours now, and we've only got a few laps to go. Oh, went very heavy understeer then. I went straight on. I think I caught the curb in the wrong way and it took all my traction away. So that was me and where I positioned the car. Bit of a lesson for all you people out there when you're on wearing tyres is to try and avoid straight lining some corners so you don't lose all your grip and your traction. Doesn't help when the cars like tap you like that when you're going by them. There's not much you can do when that happens apart from grumble. Too much power early then. Apologies, people. Apologies for that, people. I do apologise. It's considered I suddenly started developing some kind of bleed, but I haven't, so it's cool. With a bit too much speed off them. Could have gone through that corner a little quicker. On the flip side, it meant that I didn't take as much out of the tyres, so it's not too bad. Thank you for that, Mr. Mini Arcos driver, giving me a tow. Just 3 more tours, including this one to go, people. We're almost there. We've almost made it. This is going to be a tricky 2 laps. This tyre is just on the cusp of going. As we defy our rules and we defy the odds to say no, we are staying out. We're not giving in. Very gentle on the throttle. Even if it does cost us some ultimate speed, we want to be strong enough. We've got half a lap before we encounter any other traffic, so this could be a nice way to finish the race actually. Unaccompanied, uninterrupted. That's what we want. We're on fumes. I've only just noticed that. The fuel's in the red and the tyres are getting redder as well. We're hanging it all on the line to try and make this race on a very slow final lap. Here we go. We're aiming to finish just after 2 hours and 40 minutes. Should have enough fuel to see me home. I'll be surprised if I don't. But do I have enough grip to see me home? That's the big question. Having to drive very conservatively here. But that's okay because we've got all the time in the world. We're well in front. There's no one behind us. I don't think anyone's on the lead lap. So we've got all the time in the world to just nurse it home. Bring the Jag back to the centre of Paris. To show that it's why it's good to be here in the Jag. So I mean about the lack of grip. That tyre is close to bursting. These old sports tyres are not really designed for long distance endurance driving. They're designed for getting as much out of the car as possible, but it doesn't matter because we've only got 2 more corners left after this, including this extremely long double apex left-hander, very similar to the turn 3 at Catalonia. And then we're coming over, we're weaving, the camera was flashing because we have taken the checkered flag. The computer is out of grip, it has no idea what to do, and you can see that nobody else is coming close. We're finishing just over 2 hours and 40 minutes. Very long race, very, very long indeed. And I'm going to make absolutely sure that I don't lose my progress here by simply making a quick state save. I'm doing that on purpose. So as you can see, the Chevy Corvette is now 8 points adrift of me. Oh, nice drift there from the car. Nice drift. Absolutely beautiful. So we are well in the clear. We are absolutely clear of that. Sports hard, and the Jaggy type. We had a lights to flag victory. That was amazing. And yes, race 2 is in the bag. So what we'll do now is quickly exit. And I will be looking to see the red memory card icon in the top right corner of my screen when it loads. And there we go. It says we're currently racing in the 1,000 miles. And we are now 43.2% complete in the game. And well, having won such a long and epic race, that is a fantastic place for us to call it a night for tonight. I'm in the office tomorrow, so there's no chance in hell that I'm starting the 3rd race. So we're going to pick this series back up. It's going to be probably, ironically, on the Sunday, because I'm actually expected to be in work Monday, Tuesday next week. So we're going to be back on Wednesday evening for Wild Arms 2, and then on Friday we'll be back for Digital Devil's Saga 2, and who knows, we might finish one of those games this week. So, keep an eye on the news, keep an eye on the streams. Until then, thank you all very, very much for watching. And isn't life good when you've got a Jag?